Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I have got up with another interesting video on SQL interview sample questions, especially for data analyst. If you are a budding data analyst or a beginner and you are looking forward data analyst profile, then this particular skill SQL is going to be very important skill set in your resume. If you have ever gone through the job profiles or job portals on Naukri and LinkedIn, etc., you would always see for the profile of data analyst, SQL, structured query language, is a must required features apart from other required skill sets. Well, detail as per the requirement of the industry in order to work as a data analyst. So now if you are thinking, oh well, why do you need SQL? What is its significance? Well, if you understand, then in the industry or in real time, every company's data is stored somewhere in a server, in tables, alright, and those are there but we cannot see them, and if we want to see them we have to get it in a form where we can see them. And how do we do that? So how do we fetch that from a table to the platform where you can see them or where you can walk through your data, understand its properties? So that we do with the very first step of fetching the data from the database till to the platform where you can actually look through the data with your naked eyes. Alright, so that is the very important feature. The very first step in any data analysis is getting the data from the tables to the portal where you can see them, and that we do through SQL. It is also seen and it is also found that many of the data analysts gets confused with what to learn in SQL. Well, if you ask me, SQL is again a vast topic, lot more statements are there, but for the profile of data analyst, if you stick to, you do not need to learn everything out of that. Okay, if you just learn the important aspect of that, and you will be good enough to work as a data analyst. By that I mean you will be good enough to utilize SQL as a tool to query the data from the table and work on it. In this video, I will walk through you the set of the statements that you should know under SQL, how to utilize SQL, and the real time, okay, or a real time relevant interview questions that you must be able and comfortable to answer for the interview perspective. Right, so I have a set of questions. If you can answer them with your SQL, you can write a SQL query for that. I am sure 90% of you will be able to qualify the interview questions on SQL. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what are the relevant things that you should know out of the vast concept in SQL in order to work as a data analyst. Alright, so before I take you through, let me also highlight few important hindrances that acts or that hinders a budding data analyst to understand SQL in most easy way. So what is found that lot of the people who try to work as a data analyst, they try to master everything in SQL. Please do not do that, okay? That will just confuse you, discourage you in learning out of the relevant. Alright, so just try to focus on the important aspect what I am going to put in this videos, and that will be sufficient for you to work even at industry level as a data analyst. I am repeatedly telling this word as a data analyst profile. Okay, I am not talking about a data engineer position. I am not talking about someone DevOps engineer position. I am talking about data analyst positions. Another mistake that most commonly seen during preparation for the interview is that people try to learn just theory, 100% theory, and they don't do any hands-on. Please do not do that before going to the interview. Do as much hands-on you can do on the sample questions as much possible. That will make sure that you will be able to come up with every answer or in every situation. One more important thing that one must understand before attending any interview is get familiar with the industry standard practice. Alright, so you must know what kind of queries people do write in industry. Whatever you write in your maybe day-to-day life or during your learning, during academic, is the same standard followed in industry. Well, you must understand that. If you do that, you should not fear the interviews, because in interviews nothing out of the blue is going to come. Whatever we will discuss here, that is going to come. So let's see further. If you go by the definition given on the Google, what is SQL? A structured query language. which is a domain-specific language used in programming and designed for managing data held in a relational database management system or for a stream processing in a relational data stream management system. Well, in simple, it basically saying you that it is a tool that helps you to connect to the data source and fetch data from there to the platform you are looking, or you fetch the data so that you will be able to see the data, all right, from the table to a platform where you can see through the data or the records in the table. So now if you ever have tried and gone through the types of SQL, right, you will see a lot of types. Okay, broadly they are into 4 categories, and which you can see on my screen: DDL, DML, DCL, TCC. DDL is data definition language. Okay, these are the set of the commands or set of the tools within SQL designed to make sure you define the tables, right? The table where you actually store your data. So how its structure should be, whether to create or delete, etc. This all comes under DDL. DML, alright. So once you have fetched the data, you might wish to do sort of manipulation on top of it. So whenever you have this kind of intention to do, you go ahead with data manipulation language, right? So again, you can visualize this as a set of tools, set of commands that comes under SQL, mainly intended to do data manipulation. DCL, data control language. So if you want to do any sort of controlling with respect to access, right, or with respect to security, we do with the set of the commands given under DCL. TCC, transaction control commands. So whenever you are committing a transaction or whenever a transaction has occurred, and let's suppose that once that transaction has occurred, there is some error attached to it. So now, since you have found the error, do you want to store that transaction or just reject that? So this kind of facility or this kind of actions can be controlled with the set of the commands given under TCC. Right, so these are the broadly classification. If you want to know in more detail about it, you can always refer any website out there on the internet, and or to for the beginner, easy way to start would be go with w3schools.com. Types of SQL. Well, so we saw the broadly 4 types, but do you think you need to know all of them in detail to work as a data analyst? Well, my answer is no. As a data analyst, I will recommend to just go through the basics of DDL and spend your 90% of your energy on DML. And for DCL and TCC, you do not need to know. Okay, those all has to be known by people who intend to work as data engineering. As an analyst, we don't have to know. If you see under DDL, commands like alter, create, drop, etc. comes, and under DML, clauses like select, insert, update comes. And if you can just restrict yourself or master yourself on this clauses, you should be thorough to work as a data analyst. Okay, so if you ask me what important concepts should be considered under DDL and DML language, then here are the lists. So under DDL, as I said, just give 10% of your time, and your 90% of the time should go understanding more detail about DML. Okay, so the most important concepts, you can say, or the topics, or you can clauses that comes under DML and you must know are types of joins. Okay, go to back, learn the types of joins, how to utilize joins, what happens in each type of joins down the line in physical level. Then aggregations, how to perform aggregations on a given data, which usually happens using group by. Learn how to make use of and where to make use of having, where, order by. And then apart from that, also there's a set of inbuilt functions like minimum, maximum, date, right, date difference. So you can refer back to w3schools.com. You'll get a list of all these inbuilt functions. So just master them. What you have to master is type of join, inner join, outer join. In outer, we have further subclasses like left outer, full outer, and then right outer. So just know them. You'll see them with an examples again on the same website. Be clear about it. When to use what, be clear about that. Aggregations, perform few examples on aggregation. Having, okay, what is the difference between having and where? When to use where and when to use having. So just get the distinct differences between them, and then inbuilt functions, few example if you can know, well and good. So if you can master this much, you are good enough to work as a data analyst, or for the profile of data analyst you can utilize a SQL. Now just theory wise learn this much. Now if you ask me how to practice, yeah, take a few examples to practice them and just be master of this particular concepts. That should be sufficient. Alright, so I hope you are now confident enough and you have a clear plan of what you have to learn under SQL to work as a data analyst. Right, as I said, now let's go ahead and take the few sample questions. Well, before I go ahead, let me tell you, the sample question what I am going to show, that is not something hypothetical. It is actually in industry being used. These kind of questions, if you can answer, alright, they don't need anything different. They basically want to try with, do you understand the underlying concepts and are you in a position to utilize them to answer the given questions, okay, by the business. So if you can answer them, that's all they need. Alright, so here is one of the problem statement, and I'll show you what sort of questions can be formed on top of that, and you can practice them. So here we have a scenario where we have data in two tables. In the first table you can see we have 950 records. In the second table we have 1000 records. The columns under table 1, it's subject, student ID, subject, marks, and the columns under table 2, that's a student ID, name and class. So whenever I say that you have a data in multiple tables and the column name, the very first question that should come to your mind should be, what is the granularity in the each of the table, okay, which are the primary keys. So when you say a primary keys, this is basically means the column which cannot repeat within a table more than one. Alright, and then you should also question yourself, like think of the scenario. So for example, I can understand that you would have made by now by the column names that this data represents student information. So let's say in table 2 we have a student ID, name and class. Assuming that one student at any given time will be in one class for the given year. So now in this table for one student, how many records will, maximum how many records can exist? Well, that can be one, because one student can have one name and one classroom in the given year. It cannot be more than one. So table 2 has one record per unique student ID. Come to table 1. How many records can there be for one student ID? So if you see, this represents the student marks information, subjects and marks. Since one student can take minimum one subject and corresponding one mark for that subject, so in this table minimum there should be one record for one student ID. However, based on number of subjects and student can enroll in a given year, there can be multiple records as well for the given student ID. I hope all of you agree to that. Now, so what is our granularity? Table 2, that is a student ID, and so that in table 1, but the granularity would be subject ID, subject and marks. Right, now given, I hope you are clear about the data in both the tables. Now let's see what are the questions that can be formed on top of that. In other way, what can be the answers you might look at the student level, or you can think of this as a case study. So here are the few sample questions. So it says, for the very first question, extract the missing 100 records. So if you see, as I said, in table 2 we have 1000 records. That means, and also said that for one student there will be just one record, right? For one student ID there will be one record. There cannot be more than one, okay? In reality, however, duplicates may exist. So assuming that we don't have duplicates, now if you ask me how many student details we have, 1000 student details in table 2. But if you see, in table 1 we have 900 records. And assuming that again one student will have maximum one subject enrolled, in that case also for remaining 100 students we don't have marks and subject information. Now, so our task here is to identify those student IDs for which who are enrolled and their name and class is existing in table 2, but their corresponding marks and subjects are not existing in table 1. So how can you achieve? I hope now the problem statement is clear to you. Now you have to just filter out those student ID from table 2 for whom the information is not in table 1. If you talk in terms of SQL, what all you can do to get the answer? Well, if you see, the information is not alone in one table. That has to be in combination of the two tables. Alright. So here we need to join these two tables. Okay. So if we are joining, now the question comes, what kind of join do you have to perform? So can it be left join, right join, or inner join? Well, it can be anything if you don't know the problem statement, but the problem statement is quite clear here, given that it has to be either left join or right join, but not inner join. That we are clear, right? It cannot be inner join. So I'll leave up to you guys. You try with left join. It can be achieved with the left join also, with the right join also. But after joining, the important clause that you should not forget is a filter, where clause. You have to add a where clause saying that where subject or marks is null in table 2. So what will happen if you join both the table? It will take the data from both the table, but those student ID which is present only in table 2 but not in table 1, its corresponding marks or subject will be null. So if you filter on the statement that marks or subjects being null, it will return you all the student ID where basically the record does not exist in table 1, or it will also tell you the information about missing 100 record. I hope you are clear what you have to do in first statement to answer this. Join both the table, either you perform left join or you perform right join, and then put a where clause where on subject ID being null or marks being null. Either one of them, don't do both. So that will answer your first question. Let's say the second question. It says rank the data by each class based on their total marks. So what you can do here, first you get the total marks for each student ID. Alright, how can you do that? Go ahead and perform group by operation on table 1 for every student ID. Once you have that information available, the resultant information you join with table 2. Why we are joining with table 2? Because it's also asking to perform the ranking by class, by each class. Class information is not available in table 1, that is available only in table 2. So that's the reason we have to join table 1 with table 2 to get the class information. So what we did first, you go ahead and perform get the total marks, sum of the marks for every student ID in table 1. Then the resultant output store in a temp table, and then that resultant temp table you join with table 2, and after that what you can do, you can rank them. Okay, so how to rank them? Well, there's an inbuilt function called rank. If you Google about this function rank, it will give you an idea how to use and how it works. Basically, this particular function will help you to assign rank for each of the class. So in question 2, we are combinedly using aggregation, join and inbuilt functions. Let's go to the third question. It says extract topper of each class. So how do you define toppers in any given class? Based on the score, total score for a given student, whoever in the class have scored maximum score, that is said to be topper. So I hope it's clear to you. Now let's think how to implement that. So what you can do, for every student, again get the maximum score, and in each of the class wise. Okay, so you have to perform basically join table 1 and table 2 to get a student marks and then class. Here when I say marks, it's a total of marks. And then what you can do, again assign a number. Okay, you can sort the data for every class and a student in ascending order or descending order, and then assign some number 1 2 3 4, and then you can extract whichever has the maximum class. Well, so that assigning of the number you can do again with the help of an inbuilt function called row number. Okay, that works similar way as that of rank, but it helps you to assign or generate numbers 1 to n for every partition in the data. So with the help of join, aggregation and then row number function, you can answer question number 3. Alright, let's go to question number 4, that says extract students with same ranks. So it is possible that in a class multiple students can achieve same score, right, or multiple students can be toppers. So basically we want to see here not their exact name, but rather we want to see their rank information, where, right, who is standing at what position. So again you have to sort the data after joining, you have to sort the data and the total score, right, and then assign a rank. Here you can call inbuilt function rank, similar to in question number 2, and you will get the answer. We just have to show, we don't have to do anything. Okay, right, let's see the next question. Get the top 3 students from each class. In a class, now whenever you sort the data or put the students in the level of the scores they achieve, somebody can be first, somebody can be second, somebody can be third. Am I right? Yeah. So we need those top 3 students. And how can we achieve that? Well, what you have to do is, you need to first get the total marks for each student. Alright, and then if you are also interested to show their name, then you have to join table 1 and table 2. So first step is get the total marks for each student by aggregating in table 1, then join the resultant of that aggregation with table 2 to get the name, and then you can call let's say rank function to rank each of the at a class level, each student at a class level, based on ascending or descending of the total marks, and then you can pull the first 3 records with the where statement. That will basically help you to answer question number 5th. Let's go to the next one. It says identify if there are any duplicates in the data. Well, so what is the trick to identify the duplicates in the data? That is with the help of group by statement you can do. What you can do, first find out what is the granularity at which you are looking duplicate. So here we are looking the duplicate at the student ID level. Alright, if you are thinking why not name level, because 2 students can have same name, but however 2 students cannot have same student ID. So I have to pick up any column which cannot be duplicate, okay, or which cannot be repeated for between 2 students. Now, so I have to first take the count of the records or count of a student ID for each student ID, and then I have to filter out those records where the count is more than 1. So here you can answer this with a combination of group by and having statement. Okay, as I said, if you understand the difference between where and having, then you will clearly understand why I am saying having here. Alright, so try that out. So your having should be having count of student ID greater than 1. That will basically return you all student IDs who are occurring or which have duplicates in the given data. Alright, let's say the last questions, which says average marks of students for each student in each class. Alright, so for every student in the given class you need to get the average score. So as I said, a student can be enrolled into multiple subjects, right, and each subject can have multiple scores which is stored in table 1. So what you have to do is, okay, the interesting thing is it is also asking not the average of the score for the given student, but in the given class also. Okay, so a student might information might be, so in table 2 and a student's first standard information may also be available, second standard information may also be available. So we don't know, but right. So what we have to do, we have to first join table 1 and table 2 on a student ID and fetch marks and class information. Alright, once we have that, what we have to do is, you have to fetch even subject marks and class information. Once you have that, what you have to do is for every subject, every class and every student, get the average of the marks, and then you can display it. So that will answer finally your last questions. I hope you are able to understand and relate how can we connect the theoretical concepts or the theoretical questions, how can we visualize them as a data problem, and then how can we try to implement and answer that data problem with the help of SQL. If you want me to post the solutions for the given problems which I just explained verbally, but if you really want to see them with a SQL statement and with detailed explanation, please do let me. I would be happy to do that. Till then, happy learning, keep learning.